Good morning, Kingsley community. Bean is here, knocking everything over. Come here. Say good morning. Come on up. Say good morning. Oh, yeah, my handsome bed. There's a handsome bed. Blows boogers. It's a booger blower. Okay. Hey, it is Tuesday, October 19th. Going to the Chosen, book 2. This is the test answer. Yesterday we did the test question, so day 18. Comes from Matthew 15:32 through 33. Jesus called the disciples to him and said, I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way. His disciples answered, Where could we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd? So the writers of The Chosen write, First time around, the logistical assessment was somewhat understandable. It was a new situation. Philip was tested. Jesus performed a miracle, and perhaps they all had a good laugh at the mistake while everyone learned a valuable lesson. Except they didn't, because the second time it happened, every last disciple failed miserably. Once again, they were in a remote area with a massive crowd of hungry people, 4,000 this time instead of 5,000. Jesus told the disciples he wanted everyone to eat before sending them home. If nothing else, it shouldn't have been a deja vu. If nothing else, it should have been a deja vu moment. But it wasn't. Instead, the disciples unwittingly asked Jesus the same question he had asked them the first time. Where can we get bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd? Clearly, theirs was not a test or an invitation, just an expression of genuine cluelessness. Needless to say, the original feeding of the 5,000 was not a small or quick miracle. It was hours long, systemized, interactive experience. The crowd assembled in groups prior to the bread and fish. Jesus multiplied the bread and fish. The disciples distributed the bread and fish. Everyone ate the bread and fish, and the disciples gathered the leftover bread and fish. In other words, there was just no missing it. Yet, there they stood asking Jesus where they could get bread in this remote place. What on earth? This would have been an appropriate time to tell the disciples how utterly ridiculous they were, or how they were going to ruin everything if they didn't pull it together and start trusting him with the impossible. Of course, Jesus didn't do that. In lieu of a much-deserved rebuke, he asked the disciples one simple question. How many loaves do you have? Once again, he calmly invited them to hand over their not enough so he could multiply it into more than what they needed. The only thing more staggering than the disciples' blanket amnesia and all-around failure is how patiently Jesus responded. He let them get it wrong while then shifted the focus back to him. Throughout each and every interaction, Jesus constantly demonstrated, this is how you do it, boys. This is how you respond. Perhaps the feeding of the 4,000 was less of a faith test and more of a ministry answer. Jesus' response was one of compassion, but not just for the hungry crowd, for the learning disciples as well. He knew what these men would be up against. In the not-so-distant future, they too would be teaching and ministering to thousands of new converts. The calling on their lives would necessitate a Christ-like compassion for the hungry, tenderness for the broken, and an endless amount of patience for those who are struggling in their faith. None of that is possible without humility, and humility is born out of repeated failure. Just ask Peter. Over and over again, Jesus lets the disciples get it wrong through hour-long interactive experiences. He taught them not only who to trust with impossible things, but also how to respond to imperfect people so that they, in turn, could teach others how to focus on Jesus. Jesus knows exactly which question to ask in exactly the right circumstance. So if you ever have to pray for someone and you're like, I don't know what to say, Jesus, through the power of the Spirit, will give you the words to pray. Jesus knows exactly the right question to ask at the right circumstance. Sometimes it's to test and other times it's to demonstrate. Either way, the answer always requires us to give Jesus what we have, whether it's compassion, tenderness, patience, humility, or faith. Our supply is never enough. That was the point of all the bread and fish multiplying. If we hand over the little bit we have, Jesus will multiply it into more than what we need. So our prayer focus is thank God for his compassion and endless patience with us. Aren't we impatient people? We don't want to stand in line. We don't want to wait for our dinner. We don't want to wait for someone to get it. You know, we are thankful God is patient with us and our lack of faith at times, but yet we're not patient with other people who lack faith or who are just learning. Ask God to continually teach you how to respond to people like that. Thank Him for taking your not enough and turning it into more than you need. What repeated failure has God used to shift your focus back to Him? So what's something that you just try to stop doing and you just can't, and you go back to it over and over and over again, whether that's worry, whether that's addiction, whether that's insecurity, whether that's your past mistakes. What do you go back to over and over again? Jesus says, trust me with the little bit of faith that you have in that situation, and I will help you overcome it. How has Jesus shown you compassion in His response? How long has He waited for you to get it? For Jesus, some of us are still getting it. In what ways have your experiences with Jesus taught you to more effectively minister to others? So, yeah, be patient with other people in their faith learning. Be patient with yourself as you learn and grow in Christ. And thank God that He's patient with us. So give Him what little you have of the faith that you have, even if it's the size of a mustard seed. Jesus tells us He can move mountains. So, again, The Chosen, Book 2, devotional. Hope this was helpful for you today. I will see you back here tomorrow. Have a good day.